Okay, so let's start today with something a little strange. I want you to just think about your eyelashes for a second.
Your eyelashes.
Yeah, really. And ask yourself, what could these tiny little curved hairs possibly have to do with the ultimate logic of the entire universe?
It sounds like a riddle, doesn't it? But for the material we are getting into today, those eyelashes are basically Exhibit A in a huge philosophical argument.
They really are. Welcome back, everyone, to the deep dive. Today, we are unpacking a very specific, and I have to say, very distinctive worldview.
Mm.
We've got a set of 4 essays here by an author named Shui Feng. And the titles alone are pretty heavy. We're talking 8 principles living people need to understand, 3 magic weapons for a worry-free life.
And efficiency, depth, and breadth of life, and the road to heaven.
So no small topics.
Not at all. And just to set the stage, our mission today is to really decode the internal logic of these texts. This isn't just, a random collection of self-help tips. It's a very cohesive spiritual framework.
It really is. It blends metaphysics with some really strict ideas about causality and, honestly, some surprisingly practical and sometimes controversial life advice.
It's a fascinating mix. You've got biology, cosmic banking, and instructions on how to not be a donkey. But the central pillar, the thing holding it all together, is the relationship between us and what the source text specifically calls the greatest creator.
Exactly. And we should probably just say up front, these texts present a complete sort of closed spiritual system.
Right.
Our job here isn't to preach it or dismiss it. We're here to explore the arguments, the logic, and just see how it all fits together, impartially.
We're basically tracing a worldview from the origin of life all the way to what the author claims is the ultimate destination.
So let's start at that origin point. The author calls it the first principle. The text says, everything has a root.
Simple enough. Water has a source, trees have roots.
And
We have the greatest creator.
It's an argument from causality, really. Nothing exists without a predecessor. And if you trace that line all the way back, you eventually hit the source.
And he argues that if you sever that connection, you wither spiritually.
That's the idea. Like a tree cut from its roots, the soul becomes, his word is rootless, it just drifts. But what's interesting is he doesn't just leave it as a vague spiritual concept. He tries to prove it.
This is where the eyelashes come back in. Yeah.
He uses what he calls 3 examples to argue for a kind of intelligent design. But it's not the usual stuff. It's more about logistics.
Logistics and timing. Yeah, let's get into the first one, mother's milk.
Right. He points out a biological fact: women have breasts their whole lives, but they only start producing milk, 2 or 3 days after a baby is born?
Which, we know is triggered by hormones in childbirth, but that's not how he sees it. No, he frames it as a pre-written program. He's asking, how does the body know? He sees that perfect synchronization, the resource arriving exactly when the need does, as proof of a program.
A program designed by the greatest creator.
Right. It's not random evolution to him. It's a scheduled delivery.
It's that specificity he keeps coming back to.
Yeah.
Which brings us to example number 2. Hair. This one really made me stop and think.
It's a good one.
He asks, why does the hair on your head grow forever, but your eyebrows and your eyelashes?
They just stop.
I mean, imagine if they didn't. You'd be braiding your eyelashes just to see your phone in the morning.
Exactly. And he points out that eyebrows are perfectly curved to keep sweat out of your eyes. Eyelashes are positioned to shield them. It's a custom job.
And he even goes to armpit hair.
The armpit hair, I loved this.
He calls it the friction argument.
Yeah. Why is it soft? If it were coarse like a beard, just walking, swinging your arms, it would be agony. So he looks at all this, the milk timing, the eyebrow curve, the soft armpit hair, and he says, this is not random. To him, this is a clear sign that humans are being meticulously cared for.
So why spend so much time on this? What's the takeaway for the listener?
It's all about building a foundation of trust. That's the key. If you accept that your own biology is part of this careful, designed program, then the next step is to believe your entire life is also being looked after.
So you don't have to worry about the future.
Because the program is already running. You are a designed being in a designed system.
Okay, so if we accept that premise that we're designed beings with a source, the next question is, where are we? The text uses this metaphor of life as a trip.
Yes, birth is the start, death is the end. But, and this is the crucial part, your existence doesn't start at birth or end at death. You're just on an itinerary.
And the location of this trip?
Yeah.
Earth. But he doesn't call it home,
No, he calls it a transfer station.
which is such a great image. It's like a cosmic airport lounge. Everyone's just waiting for their next flight.
That's exactly the vibe. He says Earth is a mixing pot where all kinds of beings are stopping over. You've got gods, you've got demons, you've got humans, all mingling together before they head to their final destination.
You know, that actually explains a lot. If you've ever looked around and wondered why some people seem like angels and others seem like
Monsters. According to this text, they might literally be different types of entities just passing through, waiting for their connecting flight. So you have to be careful who you sit next to at the gate.
Okay, now this is where the text gets really, really interesting. And a little bit scary.
The cosmic bank account?
Right. He introduces this concept that sounds scientific, the law of conservation of energy, but applies it to, what, morality and karma.
It's a zero-sum game. The universe has to balance out. Positive energy plus negative energy equals zero. And he applies this directly to human interaction. If you obtain more than you give, you accumulate debt.
In what he calls Tao's bank, or heaven's bank, it's such a transactional view of karma.
Very transactional, give more than you receive, you're building up savings. But if to take more, enjoy more, consume more than you give, you're in the red.
And the collection agency for this debt is intense. It's not just a metaphor.
Not at all. It's very literal. The text says if you owe a debt to the universe for consuming too much, you might be reincarnated as a beast of burden.
Like a horse or an ox, to physically work it off.
Or, and this is the one that really stands out,
The chicken?
the chicken or the pig, to be eaten by humans to, quote, pay back the calories you consumed.
That really puts a different spin on a bacon sandwich, doesn't it? In this worldview, you could be cashing a check against someone's cosmic debt.
According to this text, yes. So the advice he gives is pretty radical. He basically says we should intentionally enjoy less.
Blessings should not be enjoyed too much. Live simply, give constantly, and avoid that cosmic debt. It's austerity as a form of spiritual self-preservation.
Exactly.
Okay, so we know who made us, and we know the rules of the bank. How are we supposed to actually live day to day without having a panic attack?
He gives us the 3 magic weapons.
Right. Weapon number 1 is what we've covered. Faith in the greatest creator. Trust the design.
Weapon 2 is to believe in causality, karma.
Which means you just have to accept whatever happens to you, even the really bad stuff.
Especially the bad stuff. If something terrible happens, you don't complain. It's just a result of a cause, maybe from this life, maybe a past one. Complaining about it is like complaining that gravity works. It's just cosmic physics.
That is a very hard pill to swallow. Don't complain when you suffer. And weapon 3.
Do your best. The phrase is Jin Ren Chi. It means you put in all your effort, you do the work, but you leave the outcome completely to destiny.
So you focus on your input, not the result.
Exactly. You work as hard as you can, but you emotionally detach from whether you succeed or fail. If you fail, it was meant to be. The anxiety is gone because the result was never your responsibility anyway.
Okay, that sounds fairly reasonable. But then we hit this other part in the 8 principles that I think will stop a lot of people in their tracks. He says, you should live for yourself.
Ah, yes. This is a subtle point that's easily misunderstood.
That sounds selfish.
It does. But he's not saying be selfish and hurt people. He's saying that living for other people, even your own kids or your spouse, is a kind of trap.
He calls it a burden. He says parents who say, I suffered so much for you, are actually just putting their kids in spiritual shackles.
It's guilt-tripping. His argument is, if you don't live out your own nature and find your own happiness first, you just become a dead weight on the people you claim to love. Only a happy, self-realized person has anything useful to give.
It's the oxygen mask on the airplane.
It's the perfect analogy. Put yours on first. If you pass out trying to help someone else, now there are 2 problems instead of 1.
I want to pivot now to his ideas on work and focus, because this felt very modern. The essay on efficiency, depth, and breadth. He tells this story about running a guest house that really hit me.
The story from Zimbabwe. It's a great anecdote. It really humanizes him. He talks about waking up at 5 a.m., making breakfast, cleaning toilets.
And mowing 60 acres of grass.
60 acres. And he realized he was doing 20 different things before breakfast. His conclusion was, I am achieving breadth, but I have 0 depth.
He felt like his genius was just being buried in trivialities.
Which brings us to the donkey metaphor.
Oh, the donkey. This image is going to stick with me. Can you break it down for us?
It's this classic image of futility. You have a donkey, it's blindfolded, and it's tied to a millstone. It walks all day long, it's sweating, it's working hard.
It feels productive.
Totally. But at the end of the day, you take the blindfold off and it hasn't gone anywhere. It's in the exact same spot where it started.
And he says that's most of us.
He does. We
Yeah.
work jobs. We don't like to pay bills, to buy things, to clean the house, to go back to the job. We're busy, but we're just circling the millstone.
So what's the solution? How do we stop being the donkey?
His solution is extreme focus. Do one thing. He says if you keep moving your drill to a new spot, new career, new hobby, new project, you'll just end up with a field of shallow holes.
You never hit oil.
You never hit oil. To get depth, you have to drill in one spot for a lifetime.
That is terrifyingly accurate for the way we live now. We are all drilling shallow holes.
It's a powerful critique.
So let's say we do all this. We trust the Creator. We balance our cosmic checkbook so we don't come back as a chicken. We stop being a donkey. Where are we actually trying to go?
The destination is heaven, but the text is very, very specific about what heaven is not.
It's not about religion.
No, explicitly not. Christian, Buddhist, Muslim, atheist, doesn't matter. Building temples, giving to charity, your social status, none of that gets you in.
So what's the one thing that does? The password at the gate.
Selflessness and egolessness. That's it. The only standard.
That sounds simple, but I'm guessing it's not.
It's incredibly difficult. The text talks about perfecting the antimatter structure of your life.
Okay, pause. Antimatter structure. What is that?
It's his term for the soul, or your consciousness. He's saying your physical body is matter, but your true self is this other thing. And to refine it enough to enter heaven, you have to completely remove the self from all of your motivations.
And this is where he flips the script on helping people again. He says you can't actually save anyone else.
Right. Don't think I am saving sentient beings, because you're not. You can only save yourself. And he warns that thinking I'm doing this for your own good is just a form of arrogance.
Trap for the ego.
A huge trap. How often do we do something for someone else when really we're just doing it to feel good about ourselves, to feel like a hero?
All the time.
If there's any of that ego involved, any desire for recognition or self-satisfaction, you fail the test. You can't enter heaven.
Does he admit that this is basically impossible?
He says it's almost impossible in secular society. The whole structure of our world, money, family, power, it all reinforces the ego. We're forced to compete and consume just to survive.
And this is where he brings in his own community, right?
Exactly. He mentions his community, Lifechanyuan, or his second home, as a place designed to strip away those burdens, to make this practice of radical selflessness even possible.
And if you don't go there, if you stay in the normal world and don't achieve this egoless state,
you're back on the millstone, the cycle of reincarnation. Human today, dog tomorrow, pig the day after. You just stay in the system of cosmic debt and repayment until you finally learn the lesson.
wow, this has really been a deep dive into a completely different reality. It's demanding.
It is. It demands you re-examine everything. Your eyelashes, your lunch, your job, your own ego. All of it through this lens of strict causality and design.
Okay, so let's just recap the journey we've been on. We started with the first principle. Everything has a root, the greatest creator, and we see the evidence in the very design of our own bodies.
Then we landed at the transit station. Earth is a temporary stopover where we have to manage our account in Tao's bank. You have to give more than you take.
We talked about not being the donkey, focusing on one thing to achieve depth, and living your own nature first so you're not a burden to others.
And finally, the destination. Heaven, which isn't about religion or good deeds, but about achieving a state of total selflessness. A state so difficult, the author suggests you might have to leave society behind to even have a shot at it.
It's a lot to take in.
For sure. It really forces you to examine your own assumptions about how the world works.
Before we go, I want to leave everyone with one final thought that's been bugging me since we started reading this. It goes back to that zero-sum universe.
Go on.
If the universe truly balances out to zero, strictly, mathematically, then doesn't that imply that every moment of extreme joy you feel has a cost? It has to be paid for. But the flip side is that every moment of hardship, every bad day, every struggle, that's a deposit. You're banking cosmic credit.
That is a profound way of looking at suffering.
It completely reframes it, doesn't it? If you're having a terrible day, maybe you're just getting rich in Tao's bank.
And if you're having the best day of your life, maybe you should be just a little bit worried about the bill that's coming.
Exactly. Something to think about.
Indeed.
Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive. It's been a wild trip through the transit station. We will see you next time.
Goodbye, everyone.